Hi, hope you guys are well. Let me take out my gum because this is so not cute. Cannot be talking with gum in your mouth. It's not cute. God wants you to trust him. God wants you to trust him. He said, trust me. Trust me. And I mean, that can go with a variety of things, right? But just now I had a revelation. I was looking at something. It was like an ad that's on the bus, and it said, Justice. Presler Justice. Like, it's a lawyer, right? And as I was looking at the ad, it was like I had this revelation. It was like I had this vision. And I remember seeing the same thing like years ago. I think I saw the same thing around like 2016-ish. And around the time when I saw it on the bus, I wasn't like in my right mind 100%. It was like I was discovering my gifts, but at the same time, I was also under heavy warfare. I wasn't able to think straight. And I remember staring at the sign while I was in that, mental state. And I remember, saying to myself at that time, like, I wish I didn't have these gifts. I wish I didn't have to go through certain things, etc., etc. And then me now looking at it today, I'm in a totally different headspace today. Like, I'm looking at it and I'm feeling normal, and I'm feeling like okay, and I'm not like under any warfare or anything. And I'm feeling like grateful for my gifts, And then that's when I really got the word. And then I remember God saying this morning, trust me. And I was like, oh, look at how that time I was frustrated and I didn't understand my gifts. I didn't understand what I was going through. And look at that then compared to today. I'm seeing the same sign, and now I'm like, wow, I have a totally better understanding of everything. And the point of me saying this is there's many of you guys out there who are like, man, like, I wish I didn't have these gifts. I wish I wasn't able to see in the spirit. I wish I was able to hear. I wish I was able to go through these things, etc., etc. But I want to remind you guys of something. Trust God. Let me tell you something. The gifts that you have is very unique. And yes, although it comes with a lot of responsibility, it comes with a lot, right? Understand that it's a beautiful blessing despite what we have to go through. Because like I stated before in a past video, there's people out here who are going through things and they don't understand what's going on in the spirit, and they don't have specific gifts, and they just go through things, and guess what? They dwell in it and they accept it as a reality. Why do they accept it as a reality? Because they don't have an understanding as to what's happening. And many of us, the reason why we don't accept certain things as our reality is because we understand the deeper issues behind it. So we don't claim it. So if we are under attack, we know why we're under attack, and we can see who's doing it. We know it's warfare. Because why? We are educated on it. Not only that, but many of us can see in the spirit what's being done, who's doing it, etc. And without that gift to see in the spirit, we would not know. We would just accept it and dwell in it. And once you accept it, guess what? How are you going to break generational curses? How are you going to evolve in life if you accept what is being done to you and you dwell in it? How are you going to fight what you don't understand? How are you going to fight if you don't even realize what you're going through? How? See, once you guys knew what you're battling and what you knew what you're up against, and once you had a better understanding of things, it's a lot more easier to fight. because you know what you're fighting for, and you also know why you have to fight, and you know what the fight is about, right? So yes, having these gifts is hard. It's very hard. Sometimes we don't get a lot of sleep. You know what I mean? Sometimes we feel everything to our chest, our hearts. But understand that if God blessed you with these gifts, it's because he trusts you with it. And God wants you to trust him. Trust the training that he's putting you through. Trust the process. Because as I mentioned, I saw that sign back then, and I didn't know what was going on. I remember staring at the sign, and when I was staring at it, all of these things were going on in my life, and I had all these thoughts, and I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And now that I'm seeing it again, this was a deja vu moment, seeing the sign again, but my mind is totally clear, and I have a better understanding today. And going through that compared to now, that took a lot of strength. That took me trusting God and understanding the process. God wants you to trust the process, because I'm telling you right now, once you evolve more in your gifts and you become more educated and knowledgeable as to what's going on, it's going to start feeling normal to you, where it's not going to feel abnormal anymore. It's going to start feeling normal. Now when you have visions, oh, you're used to it. Now when you go through a certain type of warfare, okay, I'm used to it. It's like it starts to feel normal. It starts to feel normal, right? So, you remember the movie Spider-Man or Batman? I don't remember which movie it is, but I remember when, like, I think it was Spider-Man or Peter Parker figured out he had these gifts, and in the beginning it was hard for him to adjust to it, right? It was not normal. It was hard for him to adjust to it. But then he realized how he started to adapt to it. Another movie is Wanted. Remember the son, how gifted he was, but he had anxiety? The movie Wanted with Angelina Jolie. Remember how the son of the assassin, he was very gifted, but the reason why he wasn't able to access his gifts, and he never knew he had these gifts, is because he was so distracted by anxiety and depression, and he had to take these anxiety medications every time. Like he would be around people and he would go through certain things. He had no idea that these were his actual gifts that he was experiencing, but he thought the anxiety was anxiety, but not understanding that the reason why he felt a certain way around people, and the reason why certain things would happen while he was around certain people, is because he was gifted, right? And he was sensitive in the spirit. He was able to feel things on a whole nother level, but he didn't understand that, so he would take anxiety medication to block it out. And then remember how, like, he started to become trained within his gifts. Angelina Jolie started to train him, and he started to have an understanding of his gifts, and he didn't even realize how important he truly was until later on. Similar situation, like, you have to trust God in the midst of your training, and just know that his plans are to prosper you and not to harm you. Trust him in the midst of your training, even if it feels hard, you know. And remember, sometimes you're gonna feel like, man, I wish I didn't have these gifts, but don't think like that, because like God said in Matthew, there's plenty of kings and prophets that wish they can see what you see and wish they can hear what you hear. What you have is unique. You're able to see the hidden mysteries of the kingdom, which a lot of people are not able to see. That's that Jeremiah 33 verse 3 moment. Come to me and I will show you the things that you did not know, which means that the things that you did not know are things that people don't know, are things that cannot be seen, are things that, you get what I'm saying, that you cannot have access to unless you have that relationship with God, unless you have these specific gifts. So even though it's hard sometimes, still be grateful of the gifts that God has given you, because it's unique. You're basically like a walking superhero. Little do you know. Okay? I love you guys. Bye.